Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the absence of Council President Levon, I'm calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock, and the roll call will start with Ballot.
Here.
Gerhardstein.
Here.
Jaworski.
Here.
Koski. Here. Levon is excused. Salota. Here. And Thielman is excused. So I'd like to call for a motion to elect a Council President Pro Tem.
I'll make a motion to elect Matt Jaworski, Council President Pro Tem.
Second.
So motion by Councilperson Koski, seconded by Councilperson Gerhardstein, that Councilperson Jaworski be elected Council President Pro Tem for the March 25th, 2024 meeting. Any discussion? Okay, Ballot?
Yes.
Gerhardstein?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Koski?
Yes.
Salota? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to approval of council minutes. A, approval of council minutes from March 6, 2024 for the council public hearing, a special meeting of the school rezoning. For this one, since there are not enough members present who were attended the meeting to vote on it, we have to table this measure until the next meeting. So with that, could I have a motion to table this until the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to table the approval of the council minutes of 3/6/2024.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Koski, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to table the approval of council minutes from March 6, 2024. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot?
Yes.
Gerhardstein?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Koski?
Yes.
Salota? Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the city council meeting minutes from March 11th, 2024.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Bala, that the minutes of the Wickliffe City Council meeting of March 11th, 2024 be approved as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot?
Yes.
Gerhardstein?
Yes.
Jaworski?
Yes.
Koski?
Yes.
Salota? Yes.
Reports, communications from the Mayor Safety Director.
Thank you, Councilman. Good evening, everyone. So I promised to keep everybody updated on the local government fund, and here is the latest news. The ad hoc committee for the local government fund is currently reviewing 3 proposals. All of the plans would have us to lose a little under $500K by the end of year 7. 2 of the plans include an equalization fund, which would allow us to recover some of those funds lost. The next step is to see what happens to each city when the cuts are distributed over the 7 years. Also, I would like to request 2 additions to new business. First, I would like to add new late September event under new business B, and then Wickliffe City School District communication under new business C. All right, recently I was asked by Lake County Council on Aging to participate in the community as the community champion again this year. During the Community Champion Week, a national event promoted by Meals on Wheels last Friday, I spent a few hours with my wife Megan delivering to meals to seniors in the community. A very rewarding, one of my favorite parts of the job is because you see a lot of these residents that do not leave their house. And so their only form of communication sometimes are with the drivers. So really a great thing, and to visit with these Wickliffe senior residents. And then lastly, I wanted to pass along some good news. Recently, 2 organizations in our community reached out to me regarding sponsorship and donation opportunities. Club Molisani and King Wireless are interested in supporting city activities like Helping Hands, the fireworks, things of that nature, and we will reach out to them as needed for city events. The thing is with that is usually we're calling people for sponsorships nonstop, but it's so nice now. They have been calling us, and last week was just a great week. So that's all I have. Thank you to them, and that's all.
Reports, communications from the Law Director.
Nothing to report, Mr. Jaworski.
There are no communications from the Council President, so with that, we'll move on to amendments or additions to the agenda. We will add B, new late September event. And we will add C under new business, the Wickliffe Schools communication event.
Yeah, wireless.
Wireless.
Just communication from the school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's cross the event, or strike the event. Anyone else have any other business to add to tonight's meeting? Seeing none, then, we will move on to number 9, administrators. Here at the police chief.
Thank you, Councilman Jaworski. I only have a couple of things other than the reports that were submitted to you. You asked me about Block Watch meeting.
Yep.
It has been scheduled. It's going to be May 16th at 7 p.m. at our police department. It's going to be a canine demonstration, and then Lieutenant Kulik, who runs the Detective Bureau, he's going to be speaking about safety tips, focusing on vehicle thefts and vehicle break-ins, and also burglary protection for your house and stuff like that. So hope all of you can make it there, and everybody from the community, as many people as we can get. And the second thing is, speaking of burglaries, there's been a little bit of misinformation spread on social media that we've been having burglaries and break-ins on the north end of town. That's not true. I just went through the last hour going through reports from the last month. We've had no burglaries or no B&Es other than a couple, but they were like eviction things that somebody came back and tried to get their stuff out. But there's nothing like that going on. I have guys patrolling extra on the north end just to set some minds at ease, but that's all misinformation going on right now. That's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for the police chief?
Here's a quick one. Today I just seen the freeway shut down going westbound, Route 2.
Today?
Yeah, I seen an officer there not letting them go toward Cleveland, about
I didn't-
4:15.
Oh, about 4:15? I'm not. Not sure.
Councilman, that was a brush fire, sorry to interrupt that.
Oh, was it brush fire?
Yeah, fire out along the freeway we were at. They were blocking the road for the fire.
Okay. I just seen, the block, I just wondering what's going on. All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions for the police chief? All right, we'll move on to the fire chief.
Thank you, Councilman Jaworski. The only thing I'll add is we did have a brush fire up along Route 2. Went under control pretty quickly, but a reminder that this time of year there's a lot of dry matter, grass, weeds, leaves. So if you're going to follow the City of Wickliffe open burning policy, which is on our website, just be careful this time of year with all that dead material that's easily ignitable when it gets dry like this.
Any questions or comments for the police chief, or for the fire chief? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the finance director.
Thank you, Councilman. In 2019, the city granted an exemption for sewer fees to Umacore Specialty on Lakeland Boulevard. They're asking to have that revoked. The engineer, service director, and fire chief have discussed it and are looking into it. And once they're done with their review, we will come back to council with their recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the finance director? Okay, we'll move on to the city engineer.
Thank you, Council President. One thing to add in my written report, the 296th Street project is moving along pretty quickly. The contractor's getting ready to put in curb drain and curb. We had an on-site meeting with them a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And we're looking at an alternate. There's so much base repair out there. We talked to the contractor. They gave us a price to basically, instead of putting the concrete curb and gutter and asphalt overlay back in, to just basically tear out the road and put new concrete in. So they've put a price together, gave it to us, and we're reviewing that to see what kind of extra cost, if it, there is a little bit of an extra cost, but if that's worthwhile, Service Director and I will talk about it and possibly present it to council.
Is it a situation where we're talking it's 3/4 of the street, half the street? I mean, any idea how?
The amount of base repair that's going to be required is quite extensive. So I'd love to talk about this in committee.
Okay.
To go over this. If we want to set something up, we can do that.
Okay. And we will at the end of this meeting. Mr. Hartson.
Pete, so the budget's on final reading tonight, and so when the budget's approved, so will be the road projects for this year. Are we? I know you're busy with projects all over the city with Lincoln or Rockefeller and what. are we pretty ahead of the game, so when this is approved, some of this stuff can go ahead and start getting moving, so we're not doing it into the fall?
I'm already desired.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the city engineer? Seeing none, then we'll move on to the service director.
Thank you, Council President Pro Tem. I have, just wanted to mention, I have a few pieces of legislation on there for capital improvements tonight. I understand it has to be, the budget will be passed first, but just want to let you know, the dump body and the salt spreader package is for our new salt truck that just arrived today. So it did come in, so I'd like to get that moving if we can. So nothing else.
Go ahead, Mr. Hartson.
So Ron, so that's the truck that we ordered a year ago when we split this project in half. We
Yes.
bought the truck body first and then we bought the truck first and now we're buying the body.
Correct.
My second question is, who's responsible for contacting the county about the lights on State Route 2?
I can.
Okay, I mean, I think anybody who travels Route 2 going eastbound from Wickliffe,
It's been
most of the street lights are out on the freeway, so.
There's been meeting after meeting after meeting in our yearly meeting with the county on that. The county actually, their explanation was that they're having trouble with the lighting contractors and they're trying to keep it all local, and then they actually went with a state bid contractor to fix them. It's definitely an issue right in the county's, in the county engineer's hands.
That is something that we pay for in our Route 2 maintenance.
It is, but I will say that the last couple of years, the money has been, so they bill us according to the amount that they do this, according to the amount that they plow, according to the amount of road work that's done. We do pay per lane mile and stuff, but because they haven't been doing as much grass cutting and all kinds of things like that, they've been way under budget. If you look in the budget for the last couple of years, they've been way under.
Well, I understand, but they're still responsible for the
Yes, they
safety of the
absolutely,
lights.
100% there, yes.
Okay. Can I ask that somebody contacts them directly about that?
They have been, so I've been to several meetings about this. The city and county engineer does not email back any of the mayors. He's the one that, his response when we went to the first meeting with all the commissioners, because, we stated, hey, is it a part? What can we do? Have we looked locally? First it was a transformer or whatever the part was that they couldn't get, and we were just getting bad answers. And finally, I just called Commissioner Regovich last week on that, and he was like, we're trying, and that just seems to be the answer that I keep on getting. But it's not for a lack of effort, it's just they don't know. They don't know how to solve it, and the city engineer, it's an elected, or the county engineer, it's an elected position, and from what I'm hearing, he just doesn't care. So that's what I'm hearing at a county level, and it's kind of disturbing. But it's us, I believe, some of Menor, Willoughby, I think every city is affected. There's some that go on when you go through, and then there's just spots out. It's kind of ridiculous at this point. So.
Everything's been neglected as far as I'm concerned, even like, the grass cutting, mowing, and cleaning up of
The ramps.
debris and the ramps and things like that, it's definitely not what they used to be by any means.
Yeah, just to go off a little bit on the ramps for ODOT, it's not, cleaning up the ramps that they're supposed to. So I got organizations, Club Molisani, one of them, that's looking to put some people together because the service department, they don't have enough time or men in the day to get as much. It is so bad by Bishop, by Route, by the 90 entrance. So it's like now we got to take matters in our own hands, and then safety, I'm going to have police cars there, but we're trying to fix it. But the people who are supposed to take care of it aren't taking care of it.
That's a shame they're not.
Yes.
Well, I was gonna say, just in the past, Keep Wickliffe Beautiful has done ramp cleanup.
Yeah, they're on it too, but they just don't. I
It's
don't
not
think they have
the
enough
volume.
manpower.
Right, but yeah.
So Club Molisani said they have a bunch of members they're going to try to round up, but again, I got to look at liability and make sure,
Yeah, because they provided vests and we had a
Right.
police officer. Mhm.
We had our third shift guys up there for about 4 hours one night, and went there the next day, and didn't look like they really did anything.
Ron, I know we talked about this last year. Are we gonna try to get the street striping done earlier in the
Yeah.
fall?
Yes, definitely I am. So last year, there was an issue with getting paint. And actually, when I put it out for bids, we only got one bid on it because of that issue of getting paint. I just spoke last week with a guy from Sherwin-Williams. He assured me that there's not going to be an issue this year. Where paint's readily available again. That plant that burned up is up and running, and so I'm hoping. I mean, so far we just actually got some street striping paint and road paint for us doing the crosswalks and everything, and we didn't have any issues given. So I'm hoping it goes better.
I have one more question for you, Ron. Do we allow landscaping companies to sponsor a flower bed? I was approached by a landscaper, I want to know if they could redo the boxes at Euclid Avenue and Lloyd Road. You know, and want to know if they were allowed, if they put the effort into fixing them up, or if they were allowed to put a sign there that says, you know,
that would ultimately be the mayor's approval, but I don't have an issue with it. It all depends if they're going to maintain it too, or just put it in, or what. You know, I don't want to put in something too extravagant and have the service department.
I think they were more or less trying to just put flowers and stuff in. I believe he said they would take care of it.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. So, they'd ultimately need his approval.
All right.
Any other questions for the service director? Okay, we'll move on then to the building commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I have nothing to add in my written report.
Any questions or comments for the building commissioner?
So, is Dino's getting out and doing like roofs and, you know, like looking at people's houses already this spring, or?
Yes,
Okay.
we've already started. And,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, he started last week.
Okay.
So we're on that, on a lot of different things going on. So
Okay.
we're getting those letters out.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Anyone else? We'll move on then to the recreation director.
Thank you, Councilman Jaworski. I get the fun stuff, and I want to thank those who supported us with our Easter egg hunt a couple days ago. Even though there was snow on the ground, we still had a couple hundred people there, between kids and parents, and we had the Easter bunny and his buddy, the Easter armadillo, that came for the event, so it was a fun time. So thank you for your guys' support. That's it.
Any comments or questions for the recreation director? Tim, I just want to say kudos to you and your volunteers, because I know other cities canceled their event and Wickliffe went on with theirs. Thank you. Okay, at this point in time, we will open the meeting up for audience participation. This portion of the meeting is intended for the audience to address council and the mayor, not the directors. Anyone wishing to address council should use the microphone, as the meetings are being streamed on YouTube. You must be acknowledged and give your name and address for the clerk's record, and you will have a maximum of 5 minutes for your comments. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council?
Hello,
Jeff.
we're good?
Yeah, it's for the people.
Okay. Jeff Butler, 660 Sterling Road. So, as many of you know, I'm on the planning committee, and in regards to the school property, I wanted to discuss what amounts to somewhat, what I read online, my disappointment. We spent a lot of time discussing that property. We know it's a big deal to the city. We came to what we felt was the best solution, suggesting the R60s. We had the city meeting, the public meeting hearing about it. Some people didn't even show up to that meeting on this council. And then to find out at the 11th hour that they want to just scrap the plan and just leave it as is and hope that a new buyer comes in and presents a plan, you know, with the design and everything. No buyer's going to design something and then show up and say, here, we want to buy this and build it. That's not feasible. Nobody's going to spend the money up front before they buy property and know that they can actually convert it over. So I'm a little curious, like, why, you know, we weren't informed that you were against what we had. Nobody said anything at the public hearing to say what we were suggesting wasn't, you know, in the city's best interest. Everybody kind of sat on the days and didn't really say anything, so I'm kind of curious why that is.
Mr. Butler, I sat in those meetings with you.
Yes, you did. And Mr. Jaworski.
I was 100% supportive of the planning commission's recommendations as presented through both hearings. So I do not have a problem with the way it was presented or the zoning change that the planning commission recommended.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I understand you guys have the right to overrule us. We're not the be-all, end-all. I get that. You guys are the elected officials, but I'm just curious, you know, what is the thinking of just leaving it pat as is and hoping someone shows up? What's the thinking there?
Jeff, from my point of view, my thought process has not changed from the beginning. And
I know where you're at, Matt.
and- Yep.
Yes. And I respect your position, 100%.
Yeah, so I absolutely understand where you're coming from, and I was not able to attend that meeting. Again, I had work responsibilities elsewhere and I wasn't able to attend. But that didn't mean that I don't respect what you guys have done. I think you guys have done a great job, you know, really like putting forth some really nice plans.
Yeah.
I think, you know, as a council, or at least a few of us on the council, just were hoping that we had a little more meat to the presentation. I mean, 60-foot frontage is great, but it would have been great to see a little bit more plan as to what those homes would look like, what they're really thinking about, you know, the cost of the home, and, you know, all of those different things that developers are really very often able to provide, especially when they're looking at property. They're able to provide, I mean, certainly not down to the tiny minute detail, but they do give, you know, a general overview plan of what they're planning to do specifically in the type of home and exactly what they're planning to do. So that's all we were really asking for, is just a little bit more, so that we could feel a little bit better about the 60-foot lots. Because again, 60-foot lots, you know, that's a great idea, but depending on what kind of home you're gonna build there. And we just wanted to see a little bit more, just a little bit more detail.
I guess I understand what you're saying, but I don't know who's, you know, how we could have any input at the front end as to what they're going to build. You know, we can't say you have to build this type of house looking like this. So I understand where you're coming from.
Well, many times they'll just give you some idea.
Yeah, once they purchase it. But I guess what I'm go ahead, I'm sorry.
There are plenty of developers that are willing to come in and give you just a really nice overview of what their plans would be should they choose to purchase the property.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think.
Well, I guess what my concern is that it becomes like the next Ponderosa. It just sits there and sits there and sits there. And not to mention, like, you know, these guys are trying to sell it. If we leave it open and somebody comes in and, you know, with it not being zoned or anything, now they get less money, which in turn means, you know, we got to pay more taxes down the road because, you know, they don't have that money in their coffers. You guys can stop me if I'm wrong. So that's my concern. I mean, I understand we don't do everything based on what the school needs, but I mean, you know, we work hand in hand. I think it would make sense to do what's most beneficial for the school and ourselves. So that's all I had to say. So thank you for your time.
So just one more thing. Yeah. So we're thinking about the city, and we're thinking about this tremendous opportunity. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity in the center of the city to really put something remarkable there that can help the city too, and it can bring in more students, and it can, you know, really sort of, you know, reset things a little bit for the city moving forward too. Not that, you know, we are the most important thing here, but nevertheless, you know, we're the city council, we just wanted to look at it a little bit more, that's all. Nobody's absolutely against it, certainly, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, so when I get to the written communications from the Wickliffe City School District, I think there's something good in here that I think council's gonna like to be part of this, and I think it might answer some of your questions.
That would be great, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Ballin.
Thank you. Mr. Butler?
I appreciate that.
Okay. I agree with the planning commission, you know, of what you guys worked on, you know, the 60 frontage. I don't want that property to be sitting there for another year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't want that. By just seeing pictures is wrong of some of the council people. But that if they don't like it, they should have go to the community that we were told to go look at. There's a couple in Mellors, a couple in Willoughby. If you drive through that community, you're going to see, hey, these are pretty nice. These are all different. So if you haven't gone and seen these, there's a problem. If you just go by what's on a piece of paper or something, there's a problem. So you got to go to the street, got to drive up and down, and you'll see how nice it is. You know, and there's enough room. So I totally support, you know, our 60s.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I have to talk now too, because I'm the last one. So, we're not voting though. But I was completely against the 50s. And I think the 60s are a good balance. Said, of course, it would be nice to see. Pete did show us some pictures, but I'm not against the 60s.
This is my last comment, and I'm done. It's not so much even that I'm like, oh, you guys have to pick 60s, da-da-da. It just seems like we're kind of just going like, we don't know about 60s, so we want to leave it in limbo. That's kind of the impression I got from things. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council?
No, they're not. Hi, I'm Gail Willis, 28979 Sherbrooke. I'm sure you know I've been on school board member for 12 years. We've been working on this for a very long time, and to hear that there's negativity about it is extremely disappointing. That property will turn into the next Ponderosa, and you will have it empty there for a long time. We have worked tirelessly, especially Joe Spicia, for months and years even, cultivating what that would be there, listening to the community. Some of you have never been to any of the Planning Commission meetings, the public meetings, and certainly that's your prerogative. But we had a lot of people talking about a lot of positivity. We've had people talking about this is what people will buy and this is what the market will bear. You're taking money away from the community. I think it's a shame that you would be negative about this. And I know Pete Formica has shown, as you said, properties, you could do your due diligence, and if you didn't, that's very unfortunate and very disappointing that, we will get less money. No developer is gonna come in and draw you a plan. We have 6 developers. Maybe a couple have dropped out because of the little bit smaller lots, I'm not sure. But as Ed Levon pointed out at a previous meeting, the developer that comes in that has the winning bid, they're going to have to come to council and work with council and have a plan approved. So I know Joe Spicia has written a letter here, but just hearing the negativity, I'm really disappointed in some of the council members. But thank you.
Anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Anybody else? All right, then we will mark audience participation closed. Council committee reports. Economic Development, Euclid Avenue.
So the Economic Development Euclid Avenue Redevelopment Committee meeting took place on March 18th, 2024. The topic was changes to Chapter 1313, General Business Districts. In attendance were Thielman, Bala, Gerhardstein, Saloto, Jaworski, Koski, and Levon. Also in attendance, Mayor Sakis, Chief Grossman, Formica, Ioso, Sack, Strasser, and Hunter. The meeting was called to order at 7:05 p.m. Saloto asked Pete Formica to briefly go over the new zoning maps of the city and review the general business districts, residential districts, and industrial districts that have been created with the elimination of the town center districts. Mr. Gerhardstein agreed it would be important to go over the map, especially in order for the Planning Commission to present any recommendations at their upcoming public hearing. The recommended changes to 1313 were discussed at length as follows. Page 2, 6A, strike exclusively for sale or retail on premises. Also, section B1, are not sold at retail outlets elsewhere. It was also decided that we should move in that same section, in the case of dry cleaning and laundering establishments, that non-explosive and non-flammable solvents are used, into section 9 instead. On page 3, in section K, we're adding 60-day time limit for display of inoperative vehicles. On page 4, in section B, we are changing the spaces for cars from 60 to 30. On page 5, in section B, we're also asking for fence height to change from 5.5 feet to 6 feet. Due to outdated wording, we are choosing on page 6 to strike numbers 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12 from the list of site design criteria. On page 10, in section D1, we're striking the words shall and replacing it with the word can be submitted to the Planning Commission for information and guidance. Also on page 10, section D4, we're inserting the words Planning Commission recommended to the start of the sentence, the development plan is submitted to the Wickliffe City Council. Mr. Gerhardstein suggested that we limit the newly proposed overlay district to the north side of Lincoln Road to Warden and on the south side to Mount Carmel to provide more flexibility for use for some of the buildings on the far ends of the city. Rasak reminded everyone that there is residential at the Willoughby end of Euclid Avenue. Tom Thielman voted to keep things as it is, as the Planning Commission reviews changes before they can be made anyway. The committee voted to have the law director make recommended changes to Chapter 1313 and get them to the Planning Commission for review. This item was voted out of committee. Meeting adjourned 8:44, respectively submitted.
The Wickliffe City Finance Committee met on March 18th, 2024 at 8:44 p.m. Purpose ordinance 2024-15. Present Balaga, Hartstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levant, Sloto, Thielman. Also present Law Director Iosu, Mayor Sakis, Engineer Formica, Finance Director Hunter, Building Commissioner Sack, and Fire Chief Grossman. The Fire Chief made the committee aware of the modifications that he and the Law Director drafted on Ordinance 2024-15 from the previous meeting several weeks ago. This included removing the terms dependable and super dependable from items F and G of the ordinance. Also adding clarity to the language in line J regarding the additional pay for hours worked in 2023. And thirdly, eliminating the $250 adding expense for clothing for new hires. Councilman Hartstein asked for clarification on whether employees who worked the minimum 750 or 1,150 hours in 2023 were receiving double pay for being on the 2024 750 or 1,150 hour schedule. The law director stated they were not being paid double, and this year is considered a bridge year. But some employees who worked those hours in 2023 are receiving the extra pay and not on the 2024 750 or 1,150 hour schedule. The committee had no objections, and this ordinance will be presented on first reading again at the next council meeting. The item reported out of committee. Meeting adjourned at 8:51 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Ed Levon, Chairman. The Wickliffe City Committee of the Whole met on March 18th, 2024, meeting called to order 8:51 p.m. Purpose: the Wickliffe City School rezoning food trucks, Chapter 521.12. Present: Balaga, Hartstein, Jaworski, Koski, Levant, Sloto, Thielman. Also present: Law Director Iosu, Mayor Sakis, Engineer Formica, Building Commissioner Sack, and Fire Chief Grossman. President Levon reminded the committee that the Planning Commission recommended to Council that the Wickliffe City School District property be zoned R1-60, which is a single-family residential with 60 wide lots on the bulk of the property and general business for the property along Euclid Avenue. Councilman Jaworski stated that he believes the property should be R1-75, which is single-family residential with 75 wide lots. Councilman Balla had no objections to the proposed zoning. Councilman Hartstein and Levant had no objections as well. Councilman Thielman stated that he will vote no on the current zoning change and will continue to vote no until he sees a development plan proposed by a developer on the property. Councilwoman Sloto agreed with Thielman and stated that she would vote no as well. They both feel that we are limiting potential developers from being interested in this property with this zoning. Councilman Hartstein reminded the committee that even if we pass the zoning change, a development plan will still be needed to present to Planning Commission and to Council for approval. Mayor Sakis stated that he is concerned this will turn into another Ponderosa property if we don't approve the present zoning. Councilman Jaworski told the committee that the Planning Commission struggled on the zoning process since they were bound by the limitations of options in our zoning ordinance. Thielman stated that he was not afraid to lose his next election and will continue to write articles in the Wickliffe Connection regarding his vision of that property. He believes we should have mixed use and other options other than residential. Sloto said that this area is the center of the city and we need to make it attractive, and residential houses are not the best solution. Hartstein asked Law Director Iosu if there was a time frame to voting on the zoning before it would be considered rejected. The Law Director said there was no time frame on the books. Council President Levant stated that we have two options in this committee. One, put the proposed zoning up for a vote via an ordinance, or two, amend the zoning ourselves through committee meetings. Jaworski reminded the committee that this zoning change will require a supermajority of yes votes to be approved, which is 5 or more members of City Council. The committee decided that we will put this ordinance in form and have it voted on. The committee authorizes the law director to create legislation on the zoning of the Wickliffe City School District based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. This item is reported out of committee. Mayor Sakis presented Willoughby's ordinance on food trucks and stated that our ordinance was created in 1984 and should have been modified years ago. Fire Chief Grossman notified the committee that the health departments in the state of Ohio offer reciprocity between county health agencies. So if a food truck is certified in Geauga County, it would be approved in Lake County. I also stated we can continue to allow the food trucks for special use until we put an ordinance in place. Saloto said if businesses have food in their parking lots for an event like Lubrizol, they should be allowed. Fieldman wanted the ordinance to have restrictions like no overnight parking or cleanup after themselves. Building Commissioner Sack stated that there are other ordinances from other cities that may be better used for our situation, and he will work with the mayor and law director to come up with a better proposed ordinance. This item will remain in committee. Meeting adjourned at 9:27 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Edward Levine, Chairman. I will make a motion to allow make a motion with the law director to create the legislation to place the zoning of the Wickliffe City School District per the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, so we can have this on the agenda tonight.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Jaworski, seconded by Councilman Hartstein, that the law director prepare the ordinance for the Wickliffe City Schools rezoning per the Committee of the Whole minutes. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Mr. Law Director, do we need a resolution created then for the Euclid Avenue item as well, or would that just be referred back to Planning Commission without any ordinance form?
Yeah, that'll just go back to planning.
Okay, with that then, we'll move on to commission reports. Are there any commission reports? Seeing none. Old business? No old business, so we will move on to new business, the Drennick Drive sanitary sewer lining project bid.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, we opened bids for the Drennick Drive sanitary sewer lining project on March 1st of this year. We received 3 bids. The low bidder for this project is a performance pipelining, from Ottawa, Illinois. I've never worked with this contractor before. That's why this report is a little bit late or delayed. I called all of their references. They all spoke very highly of this contractor, just the same as, and put them in the same boat as local contractors here that the same people had worked. How do I word that? The references that I spoke with worked with local contractors that I know and put them in the same light, I guess is the way I can put it, which was very reassuring. And I would recommend that we award this contract to Performance Pipelining. As a reminder, this project is being funded by ARPA money, both by a grant that we received and through some funding that Shalandra has received. So I think it's pretty much 100% going to be funded through grant monies.
I make a motion that we accept the bid of Performance Pipeline Incorporated, 1551 West Norris Drive, Ottawa, Illinois, to $782,570.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Saloto, to accept the bid from Performance Pipelining, Inc., located at 1551 West Norris Drive, Ottawa, Illinois, 61350 for the Drennick Drive sanitary sewer lining project in an amount not to exceed $782,570 as the lowest and best bid and to reject all other bids, and authorize the law director to begin prepared legislation to enter into a contract with Performance Pipelining for the Drenick Drive sanitary sewer lining project. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
New business B. The new late September event.
So we have all these events throughout the summer, whether the concerts up here, the Bocce Cup, the Fest, the Mount Carmel Fair. So after Rock the Mansion in early September, then we have nothing, and still nice weather until around the end of September. So I don't know if we should put this in the committee and we all discuss it, but I was thinking about doing some type of Browns tailgate / rib burn off, and maybe try it for the first year, maybe a Gindra. You know, the one thing is we don't have a liquor license, and speaking with Club Molisani, they also suggest, you know, they do have a liquor license that they could hold the event in their parking lot and then have shuttles run back and forth, be parked with the city, and then everybody park at Borromeo or something like that. I thought the senior center in the back there in the parking lot, maybe something like that. So is this something I could put in the committee of the whole or in the proper committee so we could maybe discuss and see? It's not a home days, but it's something like that we could have once a year, end of September, and then something with the Browns. And because people asked about that, where you have a big truck come with a huge TV and you can have the game on and some food events and a DJ or something. So
We can certainly place this in the committee of the whole for discussion.
okay, perfect. That's all on that.
So that item will be placed, the late September event, into the committee of the whole. And then item number C, Wickliffe Schools communication.
Okay, so I received a phone call from Superintendent Specia this past weekend, and he said he heard that there were a few council members, and I just did remind him, I go, listen, every council member does want what's best for the city, no matter what. They know when the school does sell the property, after that, it is the city's responsibility for a lot of things. So they just want to make the right thing. I said, once everything's discussed, I think, in full, that everybody will have a better understanding of what to go on. But I'm kind of with them with the fact that we've sat here for how long and saw the empty property with Ponderosa. So I know that that's the last thing that I want. And I think a lot of council members don't want that as well. So he wrote a letter, written communications to me and Council President Levon that he wanted me to share with all you guys. So I'm going to do that right now. Dear Mayor Sakis, as you know, the Wickliffe City School District has requested the rezoning of the former Wickliffe Elementary and Middle School properties for purposes of redevelopment. In accordance with the city charter, the district is following the procedures outlined. The Planning Commission has approved the plan and City Council is now in the process of reviewing it. We are hopeful that Council will approve the plan in a timely manner so that the district can begin the process of issuing a request for proposal in order to sell the property to a developer that meets the criteria and standards that have been set. To that end, I am inviting the two of you, Council President Levon, and an additional council member or city official to participate in the process of selecting a developer to do the work. Once the rezoning process has been completed, it is important that the district work with the city to find a developer that will best meet the needs of the district, the city, and the residents. And your input would be valuable to the process. Please let me know if you are interested in this participating in the process. Additionally, it has been brought to my attention that some members of council would like to see a plan for development prior to voting to approve the rezoning of the property. The district has invested a great deal of time and financial resources in this process thus far. What we have learned is developers are not interested in spending the money and time on developing a plan for development prior to purchasing the property. If such a requirement is placed on the rezoning process, the number of developers interested in purchasing the property will decrease substantially, and the price point of the property will reduce dramatically. The Wickliffe City School District is interested in a project that is going to best meet the needs of the entire community and maximize its profit from the sale of the property. Any profit the district makes on the property will benefit the entire community in terms of reducing future tax increases and the frequency of such requests. We urge council to pass the rezoning of the Wickliffe Elementary Middle School properties so that Wickliffe community can continue to grow and prosper. Sincerely, Joe Specia, Superintendent. There you go. And that's all for that one. He wanted me to share that with you guys. He couldn't be here tonight. He'll be here for the future meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We now move on to item number 14 tonight, ordinances.
Ordinance number 2024-10 amended. This is the third reading. An ordinance providing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. This is the third reading.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-10 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes?
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
No.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance passes.
Ordinance number 2024-11. An ordinance providing for the compensation of appointed officials of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance. This is the third reading.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-11 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-12, also third reading. An ordinance providing for the compensation of certain salaried and hourly employees of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Saloto, that ordinance number 2024-12 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-13. This is also the third reading. An ordinance providing for the compensation and other employment provisions for special police officers of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Ballard, seconded by Councilman Hartstein, that ordinance number 2024-13 be presented in third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-14, also the third reading. An ordinance providing for the compensation and other employment provisions for the part-time public safety dispatchers of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-14 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-15, this is the first reading. An ordinance providing for the compensation and other employment provisions for part-time firefighters of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance. Ordinance number 2024-16, this is the third reading. An ordinance providing for the compensation of certain employees of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and repealing any and all other ordinances or parts thereof that may be inconsistent with this ordinance.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-16 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-17, an ordinance amending certain sections of Chapter 1369, requirements for improvements, reservations, and design of the codified ordinances of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio. Third reading.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-17 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-20. This is the first reading. An ordinance amending the City of Wickliffe zone map referred to in section 1341.80 of the Wickliffe codified ordinances rezoning 4 parcels owned by the Wickliffe City School District in Wickliffe, Ohio. An ordinance authorizing the purchase of, ordinance number 2024-21, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1 new Caterpillar mini hydraulic excavator with requested equipment for use by the Service Department of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Saloto, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and ordinance number 2024-21 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Ballas, seconded by Councilman Saloto, that ordinance number 2024-21 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-22, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1 new dump body and hydraulic package through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services Office of State Purchasing for use by the Service Department of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Saloto, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and ordinance number 2024-22 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Saloto, that ordinance number 2024-22 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-23, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 1 new salt spreader assembly with requested equipment through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services Office of State Purchasing for use by the Service Department of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Saloto, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and ordinance number 2024-23 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that ordinance number 2024-23 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-24, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2 new current model vehicles for use by the Police Department of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilwoman Kowski, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and ordinance number 2024-24 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Hartstein, seconded by Councilwoman Kowski, that ordinance number 2024-24 2024 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
On to resolutions.
Resolution number 2024-03. A resolution expressing unwavering support and sympathy for the innocent civilians experiencing violence in Israel and Palestine, being Muslim, Jewish, and Christian, and condemning all violence of any kind, affirming Wickliffe's status as a welcoming community for any religion, encouraging residents to decree any and all acts of violence both in our communities and around the globe, and express their deepest condolences to all those affected by the atrocities of the war on Gaza. That was second.
Second.
Resolution number 2024-04, a resolution proclaiming April 2024 Child Abuse and Prevention Month in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Saloto, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and resolution number 2024-04 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that resolution number 2024-04 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-05, a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance of the City of Wickliffe, Ohio to issue payment of Community Reinvestment Area Compensation Agreement to the Board of Education of the City of Wickliffe City School District for tax year 2023 pursuant to resolution number 2020-08 and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Kowski, that the rules of Wickliffe City Council be suspended and resolution number 2024-05 be placed on third and final reading. Discussion?
Just so it's clear, this is the agreement between the city and the school board sharing some of the income tax for Chew Line Industries on Silver Street.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard, that resolution number 2024-05 be adopted as presented. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Moving on to other legislation, seeing that there's none. Miscellaneous. Pete, you had asked that the East 296th Street project be placed into committee. Would this be to discuss the finance?
I guess it would be to discuss the option of having a change order to change the pavement type on the street.
So
It would be probably another,
would be finance committee by your guess compared to improvement committee, since we're talking numbers?
I suppose so.
Okay. How soon do you need a meeting on that? As soon as possible, or do you want to wait a couple weeks?
Well, yes, as soon as possible.
Okay. Then we will schedule a finance committee meeting for next Monday at 7 p.m. On April 1st to discuss the East 296th Street project. I have no other miscellaneous. Anyone else? All right. At this point then, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard to adjourn the meeting.
That was me.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballot.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.